Welcome back to Tran's Play, A Little Lily Princess. Today is July 16th, 2017. Apologize that it's taken so long to get to this point, but finding a good time where both of our schedules were open has always been a little difficult. So, let's proceed.
So, back in the school where I am not so respected anymore. So as I recall, the last event I needed chill, hence my chill is 0. So I'm going to bet the next event does not require chill, because that would just be rude for to do that twice. So I'm thinking, the hunger thing, we know Becky likes cake. That could be a thing. She used to put in her pocket. I remember this.
Why are you worried about them being rude? I don't know if Miss Minchin has exactly been polite to you this past few weeks.
Well, yeah, fair. Try to think of what it's going to be. It's not going to be chill. My pain is kind of low. I think we need to get the hunger up. Which icon is pain? Probably the lightning bolt.
I think you can click on icon help.
Hey, there we go. Thank you, icon help. Alright, so what's going to hurt the most? Oh, apparently Cook is going to school her. That's why you gain pain in the kitchen. So I could get the pain I need from that, but it's not necessarily going to happen.
Yeah, you have a 1 in 3 chance, assuming each one is equal chance.
Yes, I might as well just do that, because those are my 2 low ones. And there's going to be a bunch of stuff I don't need, so it's going to be kitchen duty all the way. Let's hope I don't regret it. Look, I'm hungry. So hungry. Nothing hurts. Except the hunger. Well, the hunger is lower than my pain, so I guess that's not too terrible, right?
We'll see. Sarah sat upon her hard attic bed, looking down at her feet, which were red and throbbing.
So maybe I did pick up some pain, by the sound of it.
I'm going to school you. Emily, as always, smiled absently on the proceedings. She was not sitting up quite straight today, as Sarah had bumped against her chair and not yet taken the time to right her.
It has been hard to be a princess today, Emily. It has been harder than usual. It gets harder as the weather grows colder and the streets get more sloppy. When Lavinia laughed at my muddy skirt as I passed her in the hall, I thought of something horrible to say, all in a flash, and I only just stopped myself in time. You can't sneer back at people like that if you are a princess. But you have to bite your tongue to hold yourself in. I bit mine.
She drew her knees up to her chest, wrapping her arms around her legs.
It was a cold afternoon, Emily, and it will be a colder night.
Quite suddenly, she put her dark head down against her arms.
Oh, Papa, what a long time it seems since I was your little missus.
There was no answer. After a few moments, she lifted her head again, smiling as bravely as a soldier.
The sun is setting, Emily. We mustn't waste it. Oh, they're going to peep out. The monkey's going to be out looking at the sunset. Just you wait. I never guessed how short the days in England could be in winter. I must bid good night to the sun, so that it does not decide to leave us completely. The sun might be more comfortable in India, but we need it here.
With that bit of self-encouragement, she managed to climb to her feet and raise the skylight to let in the sun. No sooner had she swung up the window than a bundle of fur blurred through the opening, alighting solidly on Sarah's shoulder with all its paws before springing off again.
It's the monkey! Or it's Emily, one of the two.
It was the monkey, Tran.
I didn't remember he had a name. Do you remember that?
No, but it's been like half a year.
Oh dear, he got loose.
He landed on her bed then, and scampered towards her pillow, then swung himself around and into the darkness beneath the bed frame, with only the long curve of his tail still in sight. Sarah looked quickly at the door to her room to be sure that it was closed. Miss Minchin would be furious at such a creature running loose through her school. But what was she to do with him? Helpless, she stuck her head back out of the skylight and found the concerned face of the Lascar there, opposite, Miss Sahib, have you seen?
Oh, sir, Tran has come through my window. Should I try to catch him for you? He is hiding under my bed.
There was an angry chittering. She looked down to see that the monkey was now running across the floor towards the rusty grate. Ah, Miss Sahib, it would not be wise. He is a good monkey and will not bite unless one pulls at his tail, but he is very difficult to catch. He flies like the lightning when he wishes. He does not know you, and I do not think he will allow you to catch him. Even myself, he obeys only when he chooses, but he is not wicked, only playful. I believe that I might be able to coax him if it is allowed that I enter.
He is very polite. He must be concerned that I will think it a great liberty for a strange man to enter my rooms, as if they were truly mine.
Like a grand hostess, she spread an encompassing arm.
If you can cross the rooftop safely, then enter and be welcome on your quest. Tran is running from side to side of the room now. I don't think he is happy here.
The rooftops of London were a treacherous terrain of loose, damp tiles, slanting surfaces, and terrifying drops. Only the direst of threats could ever coax Sara out of her window. The Lascar, however, slipped across and through as easily as if he had been walking on roofs all his life. He landed on Sara's little bed with scarcely a sound, and then to the floor, where he bowed a salam to her. It was the first time she had seen him so clearly. The look of him, the color and fabric of his attire, still evoked that painful, half-familiarity of her lost memories, but the man himself was unusual. His bow had been as deep and polite as any Indian servant's, but he moved as lightly as a magician and stood with the strong shoulders of a soldier. His eyes and his smile were warm, if enigmatic, and the knife on his belt he wore with confidence.
Oh, he is like a character in a fairy tale, the brave wanderer who will surpass all the witch's challenges.
And for that reason he remained fixed in Sara's mind as the Lascar, and it did not occur to her to ask his name or to provide her own. Thank you for your hospitality, Miss Sahib. His eyes swept the room, and Sara felt a sudden surge of shame.
Everything here is dirty and ragged, including me. I am no longer fit to be called Sahib.
But if he had such thoughts, he did not voice them. Now for this little one. It was not a very long chase. The monkey prolonged it a few minutes, evidently for the mere fun of it. But presently he sprang chattering onto the man's shoulder. You see, he is hard to catch when he is running, but when he wishes, he will come to a friend. He is like a child to me, and my master. Many thanks, Miss Sahib, for your aid. Perhaps if you meet again, Tran will know you as a friend.
I hope so.
He did not presume to stay long within her rooms, but salaamed again and made a swift exit. It gave Sara a wistful sort of pain to recall that she, the drudge whom the cook had insulted less than an hour ago, had once been surrounded by people who salaamed just so whenever she went by.
What a kind man! He could not help but see how shabby this room of mine is, but he still spoke to me as if I were someone important and valuable.
She walked around her room, setting Emily back in place upon her chair, and righting any other objects disarrayed by the monkey's passage.
If only we, all of us, could go back to India together. I can do the things.
You just need to survive to week 36.
Wait. Survival's not... This is when I should have been, doing other stuff because I wasn't good enough to keep everybody happy. Well, that's okay. This is,
Well, maybe you can just stockpile your resources.
Yeah. So, do I click on Becky there, or do I click on skip?
You have to click no event.
Okay, that's what I thought. Oh, I'm sorry, Becky. You look so sad and hungry. I'll make sure I have 5 hunger, 8 pride, and 3 pain.
Do you have those things already? I think
yeah,
you already have them.
Okay. I'm good.
The days continued to grow colder, and the nights longer. There were days on which Sara tramped through snow when she went on her errands. There were worse days when the snow melted and combined itself with mud to form slush. On such days, the study in which the Indian gentleman sat glowed with warmth and rich color, but the low attic at Miss Minchin's was dismal beyond words. Becky sometimes crept into Sara's room, and the two of them would huddle together under a shared blanket for warmth.
If 'tweren't for you, miss, and your stories of the Bastille and being prisoners together, I think I should die here. Seems too real now, don't it? The missus is more like a head jailer every day she lives. I can just see the big keys you say she carries. And cooks like one of them under jailers, having relations with the army man that helped throw over them nobles. Tell me some more, please, miss. Tell me about the subterranean passage we've dug under the walls.
I'll tell you something warmer. I'll tell you about the tropical forest where Tran, the monkey from next door, used to live. I have seen him sometimes, looking out the window with that mournful expression. I always feel sure he is thinking about the tropical jungle where he used to swing by his tail from coconut trees. I wonder if he was captured to make a pet, or if he chose to leave the trees to make friends with tall people. That is what the Lascar called himself, one of Tran's tall friends. I wonder if he left a family behind who had depended on him to bring home coconuts.
Ain't coconuts them big, round, hard ones, miss? Can a monkey eat that?
They beat them against rocks to crack them, then pull them apart with their paws. It must be hard work for a small creature. Perhaps Tran grew tired of fetching food and leapt from the trees to land on the shoulder of a passing Lascar and become his friend, so that someone else would feed him. Imagine being a monkey with your own fur coat and friends to bring you meals.
That is warmer, miss. But some ways, even the Bastille is sort of heatin' when you gets to tellin' about it.
That is because it makes you think of something else.
She wrapped the coverlet around herself, until only a hint of her face could be seen in shadow.
What you have to do with your mind when your body is miserable is to make it think of something else.
Can you do it, miss?
Sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. But when I can, I'm all right. I believe we always could, if we practiced enough. When things are horrible, just horrible, I think as hard as ever I can of being a princess. I say to myself, I am a princess, a fairy princess, and because I am a fairy, nothing in this world can truly hurt me.
I could believe you was a fairy easier than I could believe me, miss.
You have to practice harder, that's all. We're nothing different, you and I. Now close your eyes and think about flowers, bright and red and beautiful, nodding in the sunlight. All right, so I still need more pain, and will I need chill again? Maybe. So, well, that's definitely cold. So I think I should I could still fit more hunger, so that wouldn't be a waste if I got more hunger. That's not going to help me with the chill, though. So let's do, if I need a little bit, is random going to favor me today? Probably not. Wait, not that one. I'll run errands out in the cold. I'm sorry. Okay. Done. It hurts. Look at that. Oh, I did pretty good.
You did alright.
I did great.
You did alright.
I got hunger, I got pain, I got chill. Those are things I wanted. Fatigue is a natural consequence. And, life is sad.
Okay. What?
You say that kind of cryptically. Okay.
Well, you get 2.5 resources for every day. That's alright.
That's almost the best you can do.
You could do better. You could have 15.
Yeah, if I had a perfect roll on each one, the odds of which are 1 in 3 for each of them, 5 days?
Yeah.
It's 1 over 3 to the 5th. I don't know what that is, but it's big.
Well, why didn't you make it then?
Because the odds are not in my favor.
Well, you're definitely odd.
Oh, you're funny.
On nights when Becky was kept busy too long to join Sarah in her room, the attic seemed even more desolate. When the fog hung heavy, there was no light at all to be had, and Sarah was forced to beg a candle from Cook in order to see at all.
It's a sad day we gotta beg from Cook, oh man.
She'll school you.
She probably schooled her for that candle.
Even that comfort could be snatched from her at a moment when cold drafts raced and rattled through the empty spaces. Sarah lay in the starless black, unable to sleep, unable to move. There seemed no hope to be found.
I think Becky was right, Emily.
Even Emily could not be seen in the gloom. Sarah closed her eyes.
She could be moving and we wouldn't even know. I shall die here. I can't bear this. I'm cold. I'm wet. I'm starving to death. Sorry. See,
Did you really want all those attributes?
Can you imagine if I had gotten the perfect 15? Man. She wouldn't say I'm going to die. She just would be dead. I've walked 1,000... No, you have not. I walked 1,000 miles today, and they have done... What, did she just blink?
I don't know. Maybe it's Emily.
Okay, maybe not.
You're just staring at her. Are you having a staring contest with her?
I was hoping I'm winning. No. I've walked 1,000 miles today, and they've done nothing but scold me from morning until night. Cook keeps punishing me for not being fast enough. I've had no supper again. I've tried to pretend that I have, but... You aren't listening, are you, Emily? I told Becky we were just the same, but all that means is that neither one of us is a princess. Maybe there aren't any princesses, not anywhere, and we only dreamed that there were. This is all there is. Work and pain and being hungry forever and always.
Sara lay there with her eyes closed and her body trembling, and she could not remember the moment when, at last, she fell asleep.
I still have to wait. This is just sad. It wants me to be more miserable. So keep the hunger, keep the pride, keep the pain. I'll probably need more chill later.
Not long ago, Sara Crewe had been a beautiful child, but lack of food does no good to anyone, unless to a girl still in the course of growing. She was constantly cold and hungry and tired, and the stress and the pain of it gave her face a pinched expression. Way to go!
I'm supposed to. You're
already plotting to get her more cold.
Well, spring's coming, so I might not need the cold. I was just thinking that while you're reading, so I might need to change my plot.
Now and then, some kind-hearted person passing her in the street glanced at her with sudden sympathy, but she did not notice. She hurried on, trying to make her mind think of something else.
Why doesn't she sell Emily?
That's the last thing she has of her dad.
I guess, but her dad wouldn't want her to starve.
It would only buy her one more day of food.
I guess.
With her, Dad lives on forever.
Oh, that's not creepy at all.
She fought to suppose and pretend, even as the muddy water squelched through her broken shoes.
Suppose I had dry clothes on. Suppose I had good shoes and a long, thick coat and wool stockings and a whole umbrella. Oh, she has a partial umbrella. That is so sad. It's probably one of those. Just like the frame. There's no fabric. Oh. And suppose just when I was near a baker's where they sold hot buns, I should find a sixpence which belonged to nobody. And suppose that I should go into the shop and buy 6 of the hottest buns and eat them all up without stopping.
Some very odd things happen in the world sometimes.
I'm going to find a sixpence.
She had to cross the street just when she was saying this to herself. The mud was dreadful, and she almost had to wade. She picked her way as carefully as she could, looking down at her feet to choose her steps. Just as she reached the pavement, she saw something shining in the gutter.
It's probably super glued to the gutter.
It was actually a piece of silver, a tiny piece trodden upon by many feet. Not quite a sixpence, but the next thing to it, a 4-penny piece. In 1 second it was in her cold little hand.
Oh, it's true! It is true! It is like magic!
She looked up at the shops facing her. There, not a few steps away, was a baker's shop, and a cheerful woman with rosy cheeks was putting into the window a tray of delicious newly baked buns.
She better share with Becky, because she lost Becky all of her money. Technically, sort of, not entirely really her fault. Is she going to remember Becky?
I don't know.
Or is she going to save one for Emily?
Have you been raising her right?
I think so. I made sure she, suffered. She appreciates the things she has.
It almost made Sara feel faint for a few seconds. The shock, and the sight of the buns, and the delightful odors of warm bread floating up through the baker's cellar window. She knew she need not hesitate to use the little piece of money, It had evidently been lying in the mud for some time, quite forgotten by its owner in the stream of people passing by. And yet, it did not seem quite right. It was like magic, and magic in all her fairy stories always came with a test.
Oh, see, she's so honorable.
It was then that Sara caught sight of the child.
Oh, no, go buy the food. Don't starve to death. Oh.
Maybe you shouldn't have given her so much hunger. There were beggar children all over London. When Sara had been wealthy, she saw them often and gave them pennies when she could. In her more recent suffering, she had rarely had time to notice these others. This was a little figure who was not much more than a bundle of rags from which small, bare, red muddy feet peeped out, because the rags with which their owner was trying to cover them were not long enough. Above the rags appeared a shock head of tangled hair, and a dirty face with big, hollow, hungry eyes. Sara knew they were hungry eyes the moment she saw them, and she felt a sudden sympathy. The eyes were watching her. They expected nothing more than to be passed by, as always. And yet, Sara felt compelled to approach the owner of those eyes and speak.
Are you hungry? Well, duh.
Ain't I just? Her voice was hoarse and raspy with the... Oh, apparently that's a girl. Why don't you read that part then?
That does not look like a girl. Oh, it's going to be one with an accent that I'm going to totally botch. Ain't I just?
Her voice was hoarse and raspy with the cold, but Sara could understand her perfectly.
When was the last time you ate? Dunno. Never got nothing today. Nowhere. I've asked and asked. No dinner. Nor yet no breakfast. Nor yet no supper. No nothing.
Just to look at her made Sara more hungry and faint.
If I'm a princess, then when they were poor and driven from their thrones, they always shared with the populace if they met one poorer and hungrier than themselves. They always shared. This is one of the populace.
Clutching her silver coin, Sara went into the warmth of the baker's shop and ordered 4 currant buns, the sort that were 1 for a penny. The baker was a good-natured woman, and seeing such a cold and hungry child in front of her, slipped 6 buns into a paper bag, insisting that the extra 2 were only for make-weight. Sara made her thanks and hurried from the shop so as not to get in the way of more important customers. The hot buns, even in their bag, warmed her hands. The beggar girl was still huddled up on the corner of the step. She looked frightful in her wet and dirty rags, and stared straight in front of her with a glazed look of suffering. Sara took out one of the buns and, with a pang, set it on the child's lap.
See? This is nice and hot. Eat it, and you will not feel so hungry.
The child started and stared up at her, as if such sudden, amazing good luck almost frightened her. Then she snatched up the bun and began to cram it into her mouth with great wolfish bites. Sara took out 2 more buns and set them down. 3 and 3. That was an even share. The sound of the child's hoarse, ravenous voice, nearly choking in delight as she gobbled her food, was awful.
She is hungrier than I am. I have a place to sleep at night, and Miss Minchin feeds me. Sometimes.
But her hand trembled as she set down the 4th bun.
Oh, I'm such a good person.
That left Sara with 2, 1 bun for each hand to keep them warm.
And I have to give one to Becky, right? Surely she's not going to forget Becky. She is starving. I am not starving.
She put down the 5th bun and turned away.
Oh my gosh. What am I going to do when I run into Becky?
Eat it in front of her.
You can't do that to Becky. I mean, I did catch her, so I feel like she owes me more than anything, but still.
Well, if you're going to let her starve to that, you might as well just let her fall.
I wouldn't have to share.
Yeah. But then you'd have to do all the work.
Yeah, it's true.
The little London savage was too busy devouring to give any thanks, even if she had ever been taught politeness, which she had not. Sara found some comfort in her remaining bun. At all events, it was very hot, and it was better than nothing. As she walked along, she broke off small pieces and ate them slowly to make them last longer.
Suppose it was a magic bun, and a few bites were as much as a whole dinner. I should be overeating if I took more than 1. That is the way magic works. It gives you just enough. I don't don't need anything more. But Becky does.
Maybe she split the rest with Becky. What?
It would have shown that if that happened.
Or
she's going to get back and Becky's going to be like, you smell like currant buns. I would do the voice, but I can't be like, what's that smell?
just assume that she shares with Becky. There are things that happen that we don't cover.
Alright, so my chill is low, very low. But I'm not super worried about it. The pain is a little harder to come by. You'd think that pain would come really quickly when all these other things are happening in your life. But
maybe you should save again.
yeah, quick save?
Sure.
Okay. Whenever you tell me to quick save, I feel like something big's coming. Like, look how you're gonna regret what you did. Alright. I mean, I'm not maxed out on hunger, so if I do kitchen duty, it's not gonna be a waste.
Oh, you're nearly maxed out in fatigue, so any more fatigue you get, it's probably going to be wasted.
Yeah, but everything gives you a chance of fatigue, though. I mean, that gives me less. But winter's going to be over, so I don't think that's going to be a thing so much. It's cold. It's really cold. Oh, that was productive.
You used up some excess fatigue. I can't respect that.
You know what? I can't help it that the girl doesn't sleep and lower her fatigue bar, okay? But look at that. The pride, I mean, everything else is very healthily in the middle.
Chill is below average. When the weather was bad, Sarah and the other servants were especially busy making sure that mud and ice did not invade the entrance hall. While she scraped and toiled, many events took place around London of which she had no knowledge. A kindly baker, moved by seeing a cold and hungry child give away most of her buns to one even less fortunate than herself, offered to take the beggar child in.
Aww. We helped in a way we did not even foresee. I feel bad that I was better about giving the kid the buns now.
A large family of children, once glimpsed in their Sunday carriage, laughed over their father's letters and promises to bring them pictures of musics and drushkis when he returned from Moscow. And in Miss Minchin's attic, someone stealthily opened the skylight from the outside.
Emily's sneaking back in.
He let himself down the aperture with such lightness and dexterity that he made only the slightest sound. But that was enough to frighten a curious rat back into his hiding hole.
Forgot there were rats.
They keep you warm.
Yeah, your rat blanket, I think, was a thing at one point.
Forgive me. I do not come to do harm to your mistress. Few would waste politeness on a rat, or consider it to be a pet, but this man knew that Sarah was not as other children. He had watched her in secret, seen how she made friends of all the little things around her. The rats, the sparrows, even the sky she greeted as if it could hear her. By the mistress of the house she is treated like a pariah, but she has the bearing of a child who should be of the blood of kings. First he went to the narrow bed. He pressed his hand upon the mattress, then lifted the covering and examined the one thin pillow. To the rusty fireplace then, examining the grate which had not seen a fire in many days, the old table, the tattered footstool, Emily's chair. Each was carefully tested and set back as it had been.
Notice he didn't say Emily, though. Notice. You think there'd be a giveaway that she's, something more.
At last he took to the walls. From his pocket he carefully withdrew a number of small, sharp nails. Without the aid of a hammer, he pressed them one at a time into the crumbling plaster.
What is he doing?
He looked around, nodded, and then pulled himself up to the skylight and withdrew as swiftly and silently as he had entered, leaving no sign.
Is he gonna hang up a picture? What? That's cryptic. Okay.
Time to play the event.
Oh, finally, Becky. Okay.
Sarah sat on her bed, clutching at her shoulder. She had felt something inside of it stretch and pull in a way that muscles shouldn't, earlier that day, and now every time she moved that arm too suddenly, a sharp pain interfered.
There's nothing broken. It's only sore. If I have time to rest, I'm sure it will be all right. If I had a few days to rest, and a warm bed, and a good meal, if my papa were here. But I can't have any of those things ever again.
She looked over at Emily's serene doll face and managed a faint smile.
I'll just have to be thankful for what I do have. Isn't that right? There's you, and there's Becky, and as long as I have my little kingdom to defend, I am still a princess. That's what makes a princess, not being beautiful or owning heaps of jewels or getting your own way. A princess protects her people.
She looked around at her little kingdom. The cold grate, the cracked wall and its family of rats, the window where sometimes she could see the birds gather.
If I were a fairy princess, I would summon up birds and have them weave a beautiful ball gown for Becky. Oh, she's wishing it for Becky, not for her. She's so nice. And it wouldn't even be made of rats. And I would turn the rats into fine white horses to draw her carriage, just like Cinderella. We could spend Christmas riding around London in a magical carriage and scattering largesse to the orphans and the workhouse girls.
It was a lovely, warm imagining, and it kept Sara quite distracted for some time, picturing the lights of the carriage and the sounds of wheels and hooves over cobblestone roads. Then, in an instant, she sat bolt upright. Another sound had intruded on her consciousness. It was not on the slates of the roof, but from the stairs below. It was Miss Minchin's voice, and she was angry.
She is scolding Becky. She is making her cry.
Miss Minchin was almost never willing to exert herself and climb the last flight of stairs, only when she had some vicious purpose, as when she had come to accuse Sara of theft. But now, she was angry enough to be coming at least part of the way up, and it sounded as if she were driving Becky before her.
You impudent, dishonest child! Cook tells me she has missed things repeatedly.
'Tweren't me, Mum. I was hungry enough, but 'tweren't me, never.
You deserve to be sent to prison, picking and stealing, half a meat pie indeed.
I could have ate an old one, but I never laid a finger on it.
Sara cringed at the distant sound of a slap and a body bumping into the wall.
Don't tell falsehoods. She wouldn't.
Sara stood in the middle of the room in the darkness. She was clenching her little teeth and opening and shutting fiercely her outstretched hands.
Now go to your room this instant.
Sara heard Becky run in her slipshod shoes up the stairs and into her attic. She heard her door shut and knew that she threw herself upon her bed to cry into her pillow.
I could have ate 2 of them, and I never took a bite. 'Twas Cook gave it to her policeman.
It was too much. Sara could no longer stand still and bear it. She burst out of the room and tore down the stairs, barely able to keep her balance to face Miss Minchin.
Oh.
You wicked, cruel thing! Cook takes things herself and then says Becky steals them. She doesn't! She doesn't! Do you dare to criticize your betters? You are no one's betters. It is you who are the thieves, Cook and you both. You stole Becky's wages, you knew how little she had, and you stole it anyway. Becky nearly died trying to save your cat, just to please you, and you never thank her for anything. And she's so hungry sometimes that she eats crusts out of the ash barrel. Such impudence! Well, it is only to be expected.
With a sinking heart, Sara realized that her righteous tirade had failed to thaw Miss Minchin's heart at all. If anything, it had hardened it. She had lost her temper, abandoned the composure which had given her strength throughout her trials, and now her enemy was smiling.
I have been too lenient with you girls in light of your youth. Clearly, more discipline is required. You will go to your room, Sara, and you will stay there. Neither you nor Becky will have anything to eat tonight or tomorrow either. Perhaps that will make some impression upon you. Being angry only acknowledges her power over us.
And so Sara squeezed her hands into fists, but she did not raise them. She spoke in a voice that was only slightly trembling.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Sara. Yes, ma'am.
She turned. Step by step, in the darkness alone, she climbed the attic stairs. There was no friendly voice waiting for her in her room, only the soft echo of Becky's sobs.
I can't protect anyone.
She reached for her pillow, then bit her lip as pain flared inside her shoulder.
I'm useless.
Carefully, she lay her thin body down upon the bed.
I'm not a princess at all.